Hello, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Amit.
Today we are here together to explore why certain countries, like Denmark and Mexico, have overall higher levels of job satisfaction than, say, the US.
So, first of all, why is job satisfaction so important, and how does it relate to organizational psychology? Job satisfaction is important because higher job satisfaction leads to better productivity and performance. This leads to companies being more successful. Now, companies want to increase the job satisfaction because the more ways that they can be successful, the better. So they take use of studies and stuff done by organizational psychologists in order to improve this job satisfaction. Organizational psychology takes the scientific study of human behavior and applies it to the workplace to increase employee, employer, and consumer satisfaction. Now, you can see how easily this leads to companies being able to increase the job satisfaction by taking these studies and applying it to their workplace.
So we dove into some research, specifically on Denmark and Mexico, to see why they had such high job satisfaction. And looking at Denmark, the biggest thing that we found was that there was a big focus on work-life balance. And with this, we also found that they worked only 86% of what Americans worked in a typical year. And so this allows more time to be spent on other things than just working. But in comparison, still the productivity was the same as Americans, or even better. Another big thing that was found from Denmark was that there was a lower power distance between the employers and the employees, and that allowed better relationships to be formed and managed in their job. Now, looking at Mexico, the biggest thing that we found was that there was this good enough mentality. So instead of focusing on things like wealth and job security, um, those hygiene factors, as we call them, they were able to focus more on other things like relationships and family, more of those motivational things. Um, and that's in contrast to what the US does, which focuses more on the job security, more on the money, trying to be as secure and get as much as possible.
Now, as Andrew said, the US tends to focus more on job security and achievement. As we see, this hasn't worked out well for them. When we look at Denmark and Mexico, Denmark rates number one on the list of countries which have the highest job satisfaction, and Mexico rates number 13. The US, on the other hand, rates at number 36, which is really surprising that that's as low as it is because the American dream is that every individual can come here to the US and prosper financially by working hard, which one would think leads to higher job satisfaction. However, as studies have been done, they find that this American dream instead leads to long work hours, frequent overtime with no compensation. It leads to high emphasis on achievement, and a high distinction between management and employees, which can lead to some stresses and frustration at work because they don't feel as recognized or as compensated as they should be. As studies were done, they found that Americans rated good relationships as having the highest impact on their sense of well being, whereas accomplishment was rated the lowest on the impact of sense of well being. Also, as millennials were interviewed, they said that they wanted their jobs to grow them professionally and offer a sense of purpose. Now, this doesn't connect with what US jobs are doing now, which is giving employees better bonuses, more vacation time, a lot of these extrinsic benefits. Whereas we've seen from the data and from these interviews that employees now want to more focus on those intrinsic benefits, as such as purpose and workload and things like that. Looking at these three countries, we've compiled a list of what we feel have the highest impact on job satisfaction. That hopefully, if the US adopts this, will lead to higher job satisfaction in the US.
Now, these three things, as we found, are work-life balance, relationships, and a good enough mentality. And me and Amit have both seen these things kind of play out in our own job experiences. For myself, I worked at Camp Tecumseh a couple summers ago as a camp counselor, and a few cons that I had was little sleep and low pay. But in comparison to those, this job was actually very good for me. It had a very good work-life balance, which allowed me to really mix in my schedule of fun, rest, and time off, in addition to many other great things. There was a big focus on relationships, and it was really enjoyable because of that. And I found a lot of purpose in mentoring and developing the kids that I was with.
Now, this is in contrast to my internship over the summer, where we had good pros. We had good managers. There was good compensation. However, the cons outweighed these pros and led to me having a very dissatisfied experience at this company. There was no sense or purpose for the job. I came to the job every day and didn't really know why I was there. Also, it was below my intellect level. I didn't feel challenged. And this is partly because I was afraid to go to the managers to ask for things to do just because there was such a big difference between the management and me as an employee. Also, I worked long hours. I went there early in the morning and came back late afternoon, which didn't lead to very much work-life balance. I couldn't do many things for myself. Um, Also, the relationships that I could have with my coworkers were blocked because we all sat in cubicles doing our own thing. As we talk about job satisfaction, we looked at Mexico and Denmark as positive places which had good job satisfaction versus the US, which didn't have very great job satisfaction at all. We also looked at our own life experiences, and we found that three factors are the most important in attaining high job satisfaction. These were work-life balance, having good relationships with your employees and your management, and having a good enough mentality. We feel that if companies shifted their focus to these three factors, job satisfaction in the US would increase, and companies would benefit from this. Thank you.